When it comes to resilience, do you think the younger generation is more resilient or the older generation?
Tricky one. Well, each generation has their own challenges, so
I'm not quite sure if you can compare it to like the older generations. I would say like the younger generations, like I probably think differently than my grandparents, like I always notice.
We've kind of managed to get more instruments and how to handle different and difficult situations.
I think the mental health topic is like a way bigger topic than in the past.
when I was very young, actually climbing mountains 2 or 3 hours was awful as a teenager, but you get there at the top and it does end. And it's quite good when you get there.
Resilience is the ability to overcome obstacles in life. Today, we're going to interview some people from different nationalities, different religions, and different age groups to see some of the tools, techniques, and suggestions they have to get through those difficult moments in life.
There's a perception that young people will give up a bit earlier than perhaps our generation, but I'm not sure if that's true.
I personally think the younger generation, just because I feel like we've had a lot more that we've had to go through. Our parents' generation might have had a lot more handed to them or kind of planned out, and our generation has had to figure out a lot for themselves through like economic turmoil. COVID made a huge difference, so kind of, yeah.
The older generations, I think, they look down on the newer generations and they think they always had it rougher, which I think it's up for debate. From my parents, from what they tell to me, they started with nothing and they had to build their way up, which I find is very admirable. But also, I know people from older generations who had it all and had more opportunities than we have now in terms of economical growth.
The old generation, they had to work and they had to do like everything to make money, to build something. So I would say the older one.
The accusation that these people are snowflakes and they don't know how to deal with the harsher ends of life is not true. I think people's coping mechanisms have changed, and perhaps the way their resilience manifests is a display of vulnerability as perceived by older generations, but I do think they are more vulnerable.
Would you call yourself a resilient person?
I think I've become more resilient over the years.
I'm not quite sure if you can compare it to like the older generations. I would say like the younger generations, like I probably think differently than my grandparents, like I always notice.
Each generation has their own challenges, so life's very different for the younger generation. You know, the housing, various other bits and pieces. To some extent, our generation had it easier in that there was less, but it was more prescribed and you knew what you had ahead of you. So I would think it's about the same, to be honest. I think resilience probably levels out in its own way.
Personally, I would say that we're more resilient than the older generations, just simply because I think we've kind of managed to get more instruments and how to handle different and difficult situations. A lot of friends I know are in therapy and can talk to people, and it's just it's easier to handle different and difficult situations, I think.
I agree. I think the mental health topic is like a way bigger topic than in the past. But yeah, I think the resilience is a little bit stronger now than in the past.
Someone made the really good point about how the younger generation, they have more tools at their disposal. For example, therapy is a lot more common now. Even just speaking about their problems is a lot more common and accepted now as well. So because of those tools and those ways of doing things, they've become more resilient as well.
I think, there might be something in the fact that previous generations believed in a kind of stoicism or a traditional way of doing things, which I can imagine also brings a type of resilience. So I don't want to dismiss that out of hand. But yeah, I think that's true. I think nowadays we have at least more of a conversation.
Personally, what is a difficult life situation that you've been through, and did you learn any life lessons from that?
Yes, I grew up with 3 dogs, and I mean, some of you can imagine, you feel to them like they were a family member, because I grew up with them for almost 15 years and they died. And obviously,
I was really sad about it, and then I had to, like, it was a process for me.
I would probably say like the divorce of my parents.
Okay.
It wasn't a very easy situation, especially because like there was some mental health issues involved as well in that divorce. I think I kind of got stronger and by going through that, and I think I've learned that really in life I just need to listen to myself and or try to pursue like some kind of happiness. It does not depend on anything else, just me being happy, and I only have to listen to me for that.
The first thing that came to mind was when I lost a friend of mine, and at the time it was very hard, and I still think about it sometimes. What helped me at that time, I didn't really face it because I was working. It was in the summer and I was busy all the time. I still think I haven't healed through it.
Moving to a different country, just kind of learning like the different ways that people do things in different cultures and getting used to living a different lifestyle than they're used to living in the States. The best way that I've gotten through it here is community. Like Lisbon has amazing people and groups, and just connecting with people and learning how they've dealt with it is kind of the way that I feel like you get through a lot.
I think relationships, romantic relationships can be pretty, I don't know if they're an obstacle, but they're a challenge, aren't they? I think knowing how to talk about those and navigate the challenges within a relationship is a big task, because you can default to making that person be like, sort of not your everything, but the person you go to when you have a problem, and then what happens when you have a problem with that person.
That's again something we don't talk about enough is relationships, how to get through them. It's something difficult to talk even with friends, especially between guys, and maybe with family members as well. You don't like to maybe talk about relationships so much with our parents and maybe brothers and sisters as well. So I think that's maybe an obstacle we still need to overcome.
I think definitely it's a male thing. I feel like women do it a lot more.
What's the most difficult thing you've been through in life, and what life lessons did you learn from those difficult situations, if any?
I had a couple of challenges. I've been divorced and had to sort of look after a family. And I had a job which was quite challenging at times. I think I just learnt that however awful things are, if you approach it a day at a time, it will finally end. Sometimes you never think it will, and I think I learned that a couple of times.
I was talking last night about how my experiences of racism when I was growing up were pretty challenging, partly because I didn't feel I could talk about it. Part of growing up in the UK as a guy, I grew up in like South London. A lot of it was about taking obstacles like on the chin, and kind of joking about them and be like, oh yeah, whatever. It's just banter, or if you make light of it, then it doesn't matter. That's pretty tough when you get older. You start realizing that these wounds run deeper, and just making light of them is not solving the problem.
When I was very young, actually climbing mountains, I was part of a church group because I was a choir boy, not particularly religious, but we went away. And I learned actually climbing a mountain 2 or 3 hours was awful as a teenager, but you get there at the top and it does end. And it's quite good when you get there.
And it's a great metaphor for life, really, isn't it? That's climbing to the mountaintop.
Anything that's quite challenging or difficult or confusing will always end. You'll always get there, so you may as well crack on and try to get there in the best way possible rather than run away from it. Once you run away from it, it's it's a slippery slope, and certainly not as rewarding as if you did carry on.
I think that our problem now it is the economical problem. It's the most because we are from Greece, that is a poor country, kind of, and we are students, so our parents give us our money, but we don't want them to give us more because
you want to be self-sufficient, maybe.
Yes, but we want more things. I mean, we were for a coffee, and I want a second coffee, but I don't know, maybe not take it. It is not bad. It is not a problem. We are happy and we can do things. We are in the park, and it is the best place to be. I have my boyfriend, I have my friends, so I have a good school that I love, so I don't think that we have so much problem.
Yeah, so if we just focus on the important things like friends and family, we can be resilient and get through difficult times.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really good point. What are some tools or techniques that you've found effective to get through those difficult times?
I think literature is really important. Sounds like a quite soppy answer, but being able to read about other people's experiences and, have them like refracted through different characters' takes is really useful. It gives you a different perspective.
Spend some time on your own. It helps that you're going to travel, for example, doing the Camino, met other people, talk to them.
Having friends you can talk to and reach out to. I'm also super active, so I think just like getting out there, moving your body, just kind of getting in touch with yourself again is super important.
Speak about your problems, even with strangers. That helped me a lot. I don't know. Almost every traveler has an open ear for something. So you can just, even if they don't even know you, you can just talk about your problems. Every conversation helps.
Hanging out with friends is my therapy. Talking with family members when I have problems. Yeah, and just communicating, I guess. It's the best part.
I would also recommend doing sports. That's like a big part for me. I got very lucky having great friends and a great family, so I would just agree. Communication and for me also doing sports.
Obviously talking to people. Therapy can be useful, talking to friends, investing in those friendships as well. I mean, I live abroad and I have done for about 5 years now in different countries, and trying to invest in the relationships you've built over the years is really important because they all know you, deeply.
Friends and family, love, and I haven't done any therapy or something like that, but I think that works.
Living here in, say, Portugal or in another city or country, it's difficult to make friends with deep connections. It's easy to meet people, but to actually form friendships who you can then share your problems with is a lot more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it can be hard to open up to people you don't know. He says, hungover on a bench, talking to someone on camera. No, but it's true. It can go both ways. I think some people find it hard to open up to people they've known a long time because they see the whole picture,
Things will get better, however low you are. If you just focus on what you can do and what you can achieve, what you can make better that day, you'll get there in the end. It's just having that confidence and spirit that says you'll get there.
What about yourself? When you've been through difficult times, have you found that anything helps to get through it?
I don't know. In the summer, my friend, he said that think our day. Think that we were playing and we were playing volleyball and you were happy at that time.
So being in the moment, like when you're playing a game, when you're reading a book, your mind isn't on other things and it helps you get through it.
Live in the moment, live in the good things now.
So after speaking to people from a number of different countries, a number of different ages and different religions, what did we learn today about resilience? Well, what stuck out for me was this idea about having a system, having a process in place. When times get difficult, which they inevitably will, you have something to turn to. Also, the idea of friends and family. Often someone like myself or others who we've met today who don't live in the same place that they grew up. They might not have a strong set of friends and family. It can be difficult. So forming those connections is vital for the times when things get difficult in life. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to continue to get crowd wisdom.